What's up, BJJ fans? And of course the BJJ stands for Blind Judo Journey. I went to Japan for 2 weeks to train judo at lots of universities around Japan. It was really cool. A huge thank you to British Judo for selecting me to go on this trip with the rest of the visually impaired squad. As of today, I can now say that 3 Paralympians were there. You have Dan, Evan and Jack, who are all going to the Paris Paralympic Games this year, so good luck to them. And it was such a great experience to train with them, like, you know, we're going to the games, training like a Paralympian, etc. It was a really good experience, really opened my eyes to sort of the way they think about the games, about their training, and the professionalism they bring to that, so thank you guys. What was Japan like? It was 2 weeks of training where usually we do some form of gym, strength and conditioning based thing in the morning, where that'd be running, lifting weights, etc. And every day in the evening we would do a 2-hour judo session, which in Japan, they don't really do any technical. In Japan, once they're at university age, it will just be something like a 10-minute warm-up, 20 minutes of ukami, and then probably something around 12 5-minute randoris, which is a lot of volume, which was great for me. I did probably about 80 5-minute randoris across the whole 2 weeks with different people. A weird thing about Japan is that there's not the same level of intensity to those randoris, so I wasn't absolutely dying by the end of them because the Japanese are so much more skilled that they spend a lot less time dragging each other around and a lot more time entering for good quality attacks using their superior technique. So that's why you're still able to do maybe 9 or 10 of those practices and yeah, have a great time doing it. I'm going to give a bit of a good, the bad and the ugly breakdown of the trip because my coaches want me to, so this is directly to you coaches. The good, obviously it's incredible for me to spend a huge amount of time training against people who are much better than me. They were considerably better than me, you know, always getting a load of new partners who fight a completely different style. It's quite noticeable that they do fight differently to people in Britain, or people who I have fought in Britain at least, so that was quite cool. Getting to spend quality time with, in a judo context, the coaches, Ian Johns, who went with us, head Paralympic coach, getting to spend an extended period of time with him was very good. Because often people can give you like a singular piece of advice and it doesn't go in that first time, but when he says it to you like every single day for 2 weeks, I was much more able to implement that by the end of the 2 weeks than I was at the start. I think a lot of the pieces of advice he gave me, particularly sort of being more sharp, I guess, with movements. That's quite a simple way of explaining what I'm trying to talk about, but being sharper, being more direct, being more impactful with the movements I'm doing, and being less floppy, I guess. Having him tell me that sort of over and over again in a slightly different context, trying to apply that, and then eventually being given like positive affirmations when I've done that correctly, that was actually really rewarding and beneficial to my judo. Another thing about fighting people who are so much better than you, I've been to training camps before, like ONST, the National Training Squad Training, where you spend a weekend getting battered by people better than you. That's great, and then you come home and you feel great because then you fight all the people at your local club, and you tend to, you know, you do something hard, then it makes the normal stuff look easy. Going away for 2 weeks, spending 2 weeks fighting people who are almost exclusively better than me, and then coming back, I've done 1 judo session since I got back, and I felt strong despite being jet lagged, despite actually being physically tired. I still felt strong. I felt like my quality of judo was higher, and I was able to more quickly and more effectively fight the people who I would normally struggle with. So that was a huge benefit that I'm already feeling in my judo, which it's like having superpowers. You go away for 2 weeks, you come back, and the same person who you struggled with 2 weeks ago, you now don't struggle with. A huge thing off the mat that was amazing, great to do. I spent a lot of time doing gym stuff, like going to gyms and lifting weights with people who knew a lot more about it than I did. Huge thanks particularly to Dan and Jack, who put up with me asking them countless questions about the gym and weights and training programs, etc. I, until recently, didn't do basically any strength and conditioning, mainly because for me gyms are really intimidating. being visually impaired, where you go into a gym, there's lots of metal at face height, you kind of don't know where everything is, you have to just wander around feeling stuff and having people keep asking you if you need help, etc. And it's just quite difficult, it's embarrassing. It's something that, you know, I struggled to get into and had a big barrier to entry, which now, you know, you can be shown like one strength and conditioning session by an S&C coach or whatever, and then you go away and it's like, okay, well, I've done that now, I don't know what else to do. But then having been in 2 weeks doing a more sort of varied amounts of training, you know, doing different types of exercises, using different groups of exercises with a sort of goal of what you're trying to achieve from that session was really beneficial. And I hope I didn't wind up any of the athletes too much by asking them many questions. I know that I do that, but that's partially so that I can sort of feel confident in what I'm doing. I have already implemented the fact that now I'm going to hopefully start doing a lot more strength stuff, because I woke up at 4 a.m. Yesterday because I'm jet lagged, and I went basically straight to the gym because I knew there would be no one there. Turns out people do actually get up at 7 o'clock on a Sunday to go to the gym. But yeah, so I've already done that, trying to implement that. I'm just going to try and be more consistent with that. There will be a video coming on gym stuff by me soon, and I hope people, you know, that'll be something completely new to me, and I'm really grateful to the people on the team who have sort of shown me that a lot, and made me do it, but then actually kind of enjoy doing it by the end. Yeah, that was really beneficial. Other really good things, I guess, just like training with people who have a different style, forced me to adapt. They say that, you know, the Japanese are the absolute best people in the world at putting sleeve lapel grips and just using that most effectively, which I often fight sleeve lapel, which kind of means I'm always out gripped, even when I'm in a neutral position. So the coaches, the athletes kind of start saying, well, maybe you should have a look at other grips, other things you can do, clinches, getting in close, going through to belt grips, pulling 2-on-1, trying to get to these positions so that putting them in, you know, putting the Japanese in positions that they are not comfortable in, which I think I got more and more proficient at as the week went on, 2 weeks went on, eventually where I was able to get to positions where I could throw people by the end. I did get thrown a lot for the 2 weeks. But yeah, sadly I didn't get any photo footage really of that. I was going to try and vlog the whole trip. It turns out I hate vlogging. I don't like putting cameras in people's faces, and the thing for me especially is I don't want me making my channel or anything like that impact my training, or more importantly other people's training and the coach's time. So I don't want to, you know, put the camera in them and say, can you watch me, blah blah blah, because that's not, you know, that's taking time away from people with what they should actually be doing. So I try to avoid doing that. But yeah, managed to get some throws in. With, you know, I don't think I hit like one like uchimata or haragoshi the whole time I was there, but I hit some like sumigeshis, a couple of tomonagis, a lot of drops in agis was definitely my most effective throw. A thing I learned a lot of this whole time, John Z was talking to me about building the environment for how you throw, what is not just putting in throws when you feel like it, trying to build an environment to the point where you can throw. He demonstrated that really well on me at one point by just doing some like sort of gentle randori with me at one point, and for about 3 minutes, not throwing me, but showing me one throw, and then eventually went to throw, or made it look like he was going to go to uchimata, and I braced because I've been bracing for that the whole 3 minutes, and then he saw my feet out from under me, and he was talking about that, how he'd spent 3 minutes there building the environment where I'm going to be vulnerable to a Koso Tagari, and then eventually after 3 minutes did it and just absolutely smashed with it. So that was a really, that as a kind of made a good point to me in a way that's just sort of saying it doesn't, which is quite cool. So cheers, John Z. So talking about like the gym stuff that we did, like we did some stuff in the gym. I'm really proud that I managed to do a muscle up. If you saw that on my channel, check this. So I'm in the gym right now, it's like 7:30 university, and I just learned how to muscle up. So let's see if I can still do this.
Hey!
But John Z, after that session, actually said, do you know what was more impressive than doing a muscle up? And I went, what? And he went, you're doing Bulgarian split squats, which was a random exercise that I'd done and learned from Dan. So, you know, it's a lot less flashy, it's a lot more effective probably for my judo training, so that was the takeaway I got from that. But I think another thing I actually loved about training was some of the off the mat stuff, or when we did sort of a group conditioning training session kind of thing, which, you know, no equipment or anything like that. It was just running up and down a dojo, picking each other up, carrying each other around, doing that sort of thing, which is actually quite fun. It was really hot, it was was just enjoyable, put some music on, not a hugely intense session, but it was just quite enjoyable as a team bonding thing, you know, running around picking each other up, and eventually we ended up just finishing by having sprint races.
3, 2, 1, go!
But yes, that was really enjoyable, and I think I was quite proud that, you know, people did mention to me afterwards that, oh yeah, you worked really hard on that session, which is, you know, positive affirmations were nice. Another good thing is I feel like I learned a huge amount about ukami. Like the way the Japanese do uchikomi, they do every single rep the exact same. That's how it should be, that's how everyone should do uchikomi. Something that I'm not particularly good at, but I think I definitely improved on massively even throughout the 2 weeks of doing it. You know, if you do 20 minutes of uchikomi, just 20 minutes of uchikomi, like every single day, like you'll get better at it. And I was quite happy by the end of the couple of weeks. I felt like my ability to do that uchikomi was considerably better and considerably more consistent than it was at the start. So that was definitely something I learned from the Japanese themselves, just from watching them do it, and you kind of go, I'm just going to copy everything that this guy does for 20 minutes, and we'll just, like, I'm going to try and make it as good as he does it, which is really, really good. Other cool thing, one of the places we were training had Uta Abe on the mat, who is Olympic champion at under 57s, under 52s, and she will be competing in Paris in, you know, a few weeks, which is pretty cool. It's just to, like, wow, we're training in places where Olympians train, so yeah, that really shows the level of what we were doing. Wait, another thing that I did whilst I was out there that was really good. Obviously I spent 2 weeks getting absolutely bad standing. However, on the ground doing newaza, I managed to exert a lot of my skill in that situation. The Japanese do not train lots of groundwork. I do a lot of groundwork. I love groundwork. In every single time I went to the ground with any of the Japanese, I managed to submit, tap, pin, almost all of my opponents through the whole of the 2 weeks. A lot of it with, you know, things that are quite standard, like Sangaku turnover or Fallon roll, I did quite a lot. And then Judo roll, I also managed to hit them with a few things that are a little bit more out of left field, because I do a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so I managed to hit like a baseball choke. For those who watch my channel, it's kind of my like signature, I'd like to say. I love a baseball choke, it's my favorite technique. And also I managed to hit a go-go plata on someone who's about 110 kilos. Go Google it. But that was really sort of the one respite of like ego affirming like bit of the trip, where I got to choke people and be better than them and sweep people, etc. You know, because I've been getting bad in the standing for 2 weeks. So yeah, that was a really good thing, and, you know, made me feel a little bit better after spending an hour getting thrown. Moving on to the bad. So bad, like, there's not a huge number of bad things, but I think it's important for me to like talk about them. So bad, getting battered for 2 weeks. Most people who I fought were considerably better than me, like a lot better than me, which some people were very much happy to, like, you know, play and allow me to do some judo and like count me when I did something bad, but, you know, allow me to still go in and put my attacks in and practice judo. There were other people who were there just to smash. Especially one of the clubs we went to, they really just wanted to fight us, and they just wanted to batter me as much as possible, which is part of the experience, but there's a level of, you know, that being semi-demoralizing. But one of my coaches did say to me, like, he'd be surprised if I fought anyone who wasn't as good as me, which I think kind of put it in context for me of, these people are going to be a lot better than me, like, that's the point. And once I managed to adjust and sort of my mentality to that became a lot easier. But yeah, like I say, like, there are situations where you get thrown once every minute for 60 minutes, and you start feeling a little bit like, wow, am I actually any good at this? Oh my god, you know? Yeah. I think other bad things, most of the clubs actually were really nice, and really nice people, and, you know, their English is a lot better than my Japanese, so I had a bit of a talk to some of them, and they're just really good people. But there was particularly one club that we went to where, like, the guys, they were training for competition, they weren't as interested in fighting with the newbies and anything like that, or the British guys, or the VI guys, so it just, you know, it wasn't our greatest session. But I think a couple of members of the team also felt like that. They were struggling to get the rounds in, they weren't able to do, like, the number of rounds they wanted. That was a bit frustrating, but like I said, that was only one session out of, you know, the 2 weeks that we were there, so it wasn't a huge deal, but it was, you know, worth sort of mentioning that. Other bad things, I think, especially at the first university we were at, the first few sessions, I kind of didn't realize that like, people stood along the side of the walls in, like, weight order, and I'm the smallest on the VI team, So we stood with the big guys at one end, and I kind of hadn't made the link that the reason I kept fighting loads of big guys was because we were stood at the big guy end. But then once I kind of realized that and clicked in my head that I went, oh, if I go further down that end, I will hopefully be able to fight more people who are my size and have a bit of a better scrap. Which sort of brings me on to as well, like, yeah, obviously I was fighting a lot of people bigger than me, but also I was fighting a lot of people who were just a lot stronger than me, even who were my size. So I think that there was a moment where you go like, wow, these people are so much stronger than me. They're not gassing out when I am, which is one of the reasons I'm trying to now go to the gym and trying to hopefully have that become more a part of my training. But yeah, I think getting out-strengthed by a lot of people was also kind of demoralizing, but it did sort of make me realize that I probably should do some more strength training and conditioning training as part of my regular training. So other bad things, I think it's fair that I should probably say something that I did badly. I think in terms of my training, for the most part, I think I gave it my all, in almost all contexts. I kept pushing myself. I did almost all the randoris, almost every session. So I think I did a good job of that. But I think that particularly like one individual event, there was a day where the coach said doesn't mind what training we do. It could be like something, it could be running, could be strength, it could be just like nothing and get rest sort of thing. And I kind of took that as like cool, like a morning off, until Jack pointed out to me that it was more of a test of everyone went and trained and did some form of training that morning, and then told me that I was going to the gym with him, which actually I did really enjoy, and that was a good session. So I think like my own, when I hear, oh yeah, I have the opportunity to not train, that isn't necessarily a opportunity you should take. It's just an opportunity for you to do more training that is more free, whatever you would want to do, rather than sitting in the rooms. There wasn't a huge amount of bad things, to be fair, from a training perspective. I think I got to train against a lot of people who were better than me, but that was, you kind of have like training against people who are a lot better than you, and then when you come back home, hopefully you'll feel like you've improved as well. So I definitely feel like that already, and I'm looking forward to doing a bit more Randori in Britain again, just to see how I feel compared to where I was a couple of weeks ago. Moving on to the ugly, like what was ugly about the trip? A few different things. It was really hot. It was so hot, like 33 degrees, like every day when we were doing Randori. Really, really warm. I did manage to do a good job of keeping myself hydrated. The guys told me to take like hydration tablets with me when you go out, which I then did, and actually did a good job of making sure to like take them and put in more water when I went training, which actually I did feel like made a difference, which is great. But it was incredibly hot all the time. I'm not someone who wears many shorts. I tend to prefer like long sleeves and jeans, but not really the appropriate in that weather. It was stupidly hot. Other things that were a bit ugly, the accommodation, we actually stayed in the Kodokan. For those who don't know, that's kind of the mecca of judo. It's where Jigoro Kano used to coach. It's in Tokyo, incredible building, incredible place. However, the beds are some of the most uncomfortable things I've ever slept in. It was like wooden beds, just horrible. There was a bunk bed where the bottom one had a mattress, the top one didn't. And I, being a child and not knowing this, went, I want to sleep on the top bunk, and then found out that the top bunk was incredibly uncomfortable. So yeah, sleeping on that for a week was not my favorite thing in the world. I think another thing that was actually sort of, I knew going into it, but I didn't realize how much it would affect me, jet lag, and the travel, how that like hits you, because you don't have the opportunity, like some people when they would go on holiday or whatever, you just rest around and relax kind of thing, because for example, we were all waking up at like 4 in the morning every day for the first week. We would just wake up stupidly early, and that wouldn't be a problem. You just like power through and stay awake all day. But because we had training at like 6, half 6, there's not really, you can't get any more sleep, and then you go to training for an hour and a half, and then by about midday you're absolutely knackered. So, and I've got training again at 4, so I want to make sure that I'm fresh for that, because I want to get the most out of the judo I'm there to do, which means that you then have a couple of hours sleep in the afternoon, which just means that you never end up having a full night's sleep. You end up having like 2 mini sleep in the middle of the day and then a shorter sleep at night, which just ends up with you kind of being tired a lot of the time. And I didn't like, I'm not someone who likes being tired. I don't think anyone does, but like I don't respond to that super well. But yeah, I think I did, like, there was something that hit me and was not my favorite thing. Other ugly things on sort of the nutrition side, I think I wasn't amazing at nutrition. I'm not very good at nutrition on training camps. It's something I really want to work on. The reason I say this is because when I'm at home, I know about how many calories I use doing like, you know, a judo session or whatever like that. I kind of know how I feel after that, and I know what I want to eat. And I also know the calorie value of everything in my fridge or everything in sort of the local shops around me. Whereas when I go to Japan, I don't at all, you know, I don't just have a fridge full of stuff. We're going out for eating a lot. Some stuff really, really healthy. For example, like, you know, everything, whereas in Britain we have chips that comes with every meal. In Japan, every meal comes with a bowl of boiled rice. I'm sick of boiled rice, I'm never eating it again. But also, like, there's a lot of really, really healthy things there. But for example, also fried chicken is a massive thing in Japan. So very often we were like, you know, you just have fried chicken with every meal. And so that's probably not healthy. Also, you're training a lot harder when I'm there, because you're training 2 hours a day in the evening and then a couple of hours in the morning as well. So you kind of realize you need a higher calorie volume and more protein, etc., etc. But sort of not knowing how much more I should be having, and then also like not knowing the calorie and intakes and the macros of the food I am eating, kind of just made me feel like I just wasn't eating as well as I could be. But you know, it's a couple of weeks, and I think this will be a skill that I'll hopefully improve on in the future. Now I'm back in Britain, I'm a little bit heavier than I'd like to be. I'm going to start bringing my weight down in a nice healthy way by good nutrition. So I guess finally, like, what have I taken away from this? What am I going to improve on because of this? One, I think the thing I was talking about, sort of being stiff at the right times and being sharp with my movements that John was talking to me about for a couple of weeks. I really have taken that on board. I think I'm going to hopefully try and implement that more. And he did definitely make sure to compliment me and give me the positive affirmations when I was able to implement that in the last few sessions at some of the clubs we went to. So is something that I've taken on board. I'm going to try and use more of and just to, you know, get better at judo basically. But like, that was the particular takeaway on the judo side for me, was one of the main things. On the off the mat sort of things, the strength and conditioning, particularly like strength, going to gyms, lifting weights, etc., is something I am definitely taken away, and it gave me the sort of kickstart of the exposure to that world enough where I now feel confident I can go into a gym and put a bar on like a rack and put weights on it and lift it, etc., without, you know, safely and confidently, which is great. To be fair, like I said, I've already done that before. I'm going to go and hopefully do that again later and in the future, and try and be regular with it so that I can, you know, become stronger, become more effective in my judo game. So yeah, that's a huge thank you particularly to the team. Like I say, Dan and Jack, I went to the gym with them lots and learned a lot about doing the gym, and sort of I kind of made the point of it's not even about like learning loads about being PTing and what sort of exercise you need and training blocks and stuff like this. It was more I needed the confidence to go and put a bar on a rack and carry a 20-kilo plate from the rack over here and put it on here and take it off and do that and get used to that and have that be a thing I can do confidently, which it definitely gave me that exposure to it, which I definitely think I can take away and improve because of that. So I guess thank you again to British Judo for selecting me to, you know, come and do this training camp. It was really, really good. I think I took a lot away from it on a judo way, and also in a sort of strength and conditioning way. Thanks to Johnsy for putting up with me for 2 weeks. Thanks to the rest of the athletes for putting up with me for 2 weeks. Thanks, or good luck to Skelly, Evan and Dan at Paris 2020 for like, it's, you know, 50 days or just like 45 days or something like that now until the games. So getting to train with them on their like run up to that is pretty cool as well, and hopefully will be me in 4 years time. If you want to follow me on that blind judo journey into international visually impaired judo, please make sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. Soramade.